Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Race Kiki with Jonathan Lee. I'm Jonathan. How you doing? I'm sorry, I did not mean to steal Wendy's thing. I just like saying it. How are you doing? Anyway, this week my fantastic guest is y'all, I have the hugest intellectual crush on this woman. I think she is so intelligent. She's so informed. The way she speaks, I hang on every word. It's the magnificent Dr. Michelle Collins Ogle of Montefiore, of Flint, Michigan, of medical degree, of doctorate, of infectious disease, of HIV, of pediatrics. She is amazing. Um, this is a two-parter this week. The first part, we are talking, she gives an incredible history of the black body and American medicine and what to do and how to advocate for yourself when you find a doctor who isn't treating you the way you feel like you want to. Enjoy. Hey, Dr. Michelle. Welcome to Race Kiki with Jonathan Lee.
Thank you for inviting me and having me here on a Friday afternoon. I appreciate it.
I know, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like overcast, but it's still beautiful.
Listen, Scott and I have been fighting with our building for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. We woke up 3 days ago with no water in the building. Like
Oh,
no email, no phone call, nothing. So I'm like, no, the fuck they didn't. And then so and so I'm like, I'm sending emails to people. I'm like, no, I have things to do. And I needed to wash my hair because I have to look cute. And
exactly.
so,
That's your trademark. Cute.
like, I have to look cute. So here I
All the
am
time.
walking around here with dry ass hair. And I'm like, listen.
You're so cute. That's
And then
funny.
so like the next day, Wednesday, we had dinner plans with some friends. And so I'm all like, okay, I'm all excited. I wake up, I turn to what? No water. Wait,
That's
so
not cool.
I forgot on Tuesday, they turned the shit back on at like 10 o'clock at night, right? And then so we take a shower. We finally like wash the filth off of us from the day because Scott is
Yes.
also actively painting like this series of beautiful paintings he's working on right
Oh,
now.
so he really needed to
So beautiful.
shower.
Yes, our apartment, our living room is like a mess. It's so it I've learned to live with it. So Wednesday morning, I turn on the water, no water, and I am hot. I'm
Steve.
cussing out everybody I can. I'm calling the maintenance people every 15 minutes. She's all like, well, we don't have an ETA. I was like, why don't you have a damn ETA? And
That's
then
right.
she says, there's a memo. I was like, what damn memo? You did not send me a memo. What memo?
I didn't get the memo.
I did not get a damn memo. Well, it has the ETA on the. And then she says to me, well, it has the ETA on the memo. I was like, if there's a fucking memo with an ETA on it, why can't you just read me the damn
Yeah,
read me the memo?
because you
Then I
don't
will
have the
stop
memo.
calling you.
Right, right. Makes sense to me.
If you just tell me a time, I will get off your back.
Give me the ETA.
So here I am calling and calling. I'm calling her manager and her supervisor. I'm looking for the realtor people, and I hate it. I'm cussing everybody out. Here it comes, 6:30. We had dinner reservations at 7. So of course we had to cancel because I'm not going anywhere that you still hadn't had time to launder my wig.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going anywhere.
It wasn't happening.
It was not.
You're
But
so
it's now, I know.
you're so funny. You are so funny. But that's a great story because I could totally see you not
Oh,
having
I was,
not
ooh,
having
we were so hot, and Scott's all like, baby, you okay? I was like, not
No,
okay. I'm not okay.
I'm not okay and I'm hot and I'm not clean and I can't beautify.
I can't beautify.
I can't beautify.
But everything's good now. Everything's good now. We have water. We've taken several showers. I have washed my hair. I used a new conditioner by Carol's daughter. If you've ever used it, you should.
Oh,
There's a good conditioner from Carol's daughter.
oh, I haven't heard of it. I have to try that. I have to see Carol's daughter.
Carol's daughter.
Okay.
It's a jelly to cream conditioner because I like a really juicy conditioner because it makes my curls all bouncy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Carol's daughter, it's real good conditioner.
I'll check it out.
Miss Jessie's
for good conditioners because
Miss Jessie's makes a good styling product, but Carol's daughter makes an incredible conditioner.
okay, I'm glad to know that. Carol's daughter. I like it.
So, Dr. Michelle, I asked you here for one question. When did you learn about race?
Whew. When did I learn about race? As a kid, as a young child, my introduction to race was in elementary school. I had a 4th grade teacher. She was white. I'll never forget her name. Her name was Miss Gatzmeyer.
Okay.
And I'm born and raised in Flint, Michigan. So our school was primarily African American. That's my home. Yeah, where whole community's been poisoned, but that's another story. So our school was primarily Black students. And the teacher told us that this was a white man's world, that we needed to understand that and get along in it. I'm not kidding you, that our role was to be basically subservient to the white man because this is the white man's world. So, me having the mouth that I do, I was like, that's not what my mother said.
This bitch.
Yeah, but I was like, okay. And I didn't say anything about it because at that time, because the way she brought up the subject, it was every day in our classroom. She was sort of like putting us in our place. She was sort of like telling us, every day in the classroom, in some respect, what your place is in society, where your role is in society. Meanwhile, in my household, I'm told the sky is the limit. You can do what you want to do, put your mind to it, work hard. Don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. Don't let the color of your skin be a barrier. That was where the messages I was getting from my home, from my family. So I go to my mother and I was like, Mom, this is what Miss Gatzmeyer said to us today. Is that true? And you have to know my mother. She's dead and gone. I miss her dearly, but you have to know my mother. And to know me is to know my mother. So my mother literally had a shit fit. And exactly what you said, she was like, this bitch. And what? Right. And my mother went to the school, went off, had a meeting with the principal, told him, the principal, what was being said in the classroom, verified it with other kids that are in the classroom. And that was my introduction to race in the 4th grade. And then me understanding at that point, my mother having to have a conversation with me about the power that white teachers have over us, people that are in decision-making positions have, and how we have to learn how to negotiate that. So that was my introduction to race. Right. Right? Right? Right.
Mine involves a plantation trip in Mississippi.
Oh God. Oh. Wait. Stop right there. Stop right there. Just, how is that a thing? You need to stop right there. I wasn't prepared for that. A fucking plantation in Mississippi. I was not prepared for that, Jay. You just messed me up for the. I thought I was bad with the fourth grade. A plantation in Mississippi. Ouch.
Oh, oh.
Woo, girl. Woo, girl, I can't. Oof. Mm, oof.
Okay, so
Okay. I'm
I
back.
grew up in Natchez, Mississippi.
Whew.
And
Whew. Uh-huh.
yeah. Uh, and I was at probably the third grade. I'm give or take. My memory's a little Swiss cheesy, but yeah, I was third grade. And this teacher, this white teacher, she was wearing like, skirt and, bangs and shit. And she wanted to take us to a plantation, a working plantation in Natchez, Mississippi. Because Natchez, Mississippi at the time was very popular in the antebellum South. It was on the
Oh,
tour
okay.
because Natchez, Mississippi is actually one of the birthplaces of where you could buy your designer slaves.
Oh,
There's a place in
we
Natchez,
pride ourselves on
Mississippi
that.
called Forks in the Road. Yeah, Forks in the Road. And it's a hill, probably a mile or so away from the house that my great grandmother raised me in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were raised in. Anyway, I'm kind of trailing off from the story. This teacher takes us to this working plantation, and
Oh,
we
God.
come up in our little bus and everything. We're all school clothes, looking all cute,
Yeah.
and we walk up to the house. We didn't go inside the house, mind you. We walked up to the house, and this
Wow.
white woman out there in the hoop skirt. She's all like, well, fiddle dee dee, and going on with the genteel southerner lady shit.
Yeah.
And the teacher says, well, now I'm going to take y'all back around to where y'all peoples lived. And then we trailed back from the front house, and then all the way in the back, and
Oh
then
my
all the way in the
God.
back, and then there were slave quarters with black people dressed as slaves,
Oh my God.
reenacting this well, it was Natchez, Mississippi was a tourist town, so people wanted to have the authentic Southern experience, the romanticized Southern experience that we had all been lied to believe that it was.
Exactly.
So the teacher then looks at this classroom filled with eager-eyed black children and says, see, your people were here too. See how happy they are?
Oh,
And I go home.
I can't. I can't. Oh, you know what? My dog is barking. Give me 1 second. I need
Take a moment.
I'm sorry. My dog is barking.
Y'all can't hear this, but Beyonce is playing in my ear. It's Halo. It's Scott and I's song. It was the song that was playing when we first danced together. It's very sweet. Inside moments.
Sorry. Lena heard me, so she was barking for me, and it would have gotten only worse. This is Lena.
Hi, Lena.
Yeah. Okay. You gotta keep telling me this because y'all's people were happy back there. I'm trying to pull myself together that that's something that was actually told in your lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a lot of fond memories of being Black in Mississippi, because what I've been learning a lot about me is I've always been this person, just
Yeah.
loud and fabulous and unapologetically all of these things. And so at some points in my life, many people have tried to morph me into whatever it is they think I should be, and it's never worked out.
Because that's not who you are.
No, so I had to get the hell out of Mississippi.
Absolutely. I mean, it would have just drained it would have just drained, like, to be in an environment where you can't, like, being you is not seen as fabulous, but seen as something we need to change. that would just, take so much energy and drain so much of your time
Hmm.
trying to fight against that I could totally see why that was like a necessary exit.
Well, I can say that with my family, my mom and sisters, and a lot of my mom's side of the family loved and accepted me for exactly
Yeah,
whoever I showed up as. My
yeah, because
father's
they love
side
you
of the,
unconditionally.
yeah, they're all like, oh, this sedity bitch. And I'm all like, hi. They just accept it. And I'm like, it's not like I'm forcing this on anybody. It's not like I'm pretending to be anything. It's just who I am.
Mhm.
And okay.
Yeah, and but your family, to have that kind of support from your family where they accept you for you, it makes
Hmm.
dealing with everything else a lot easier because you have your family support, and
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
important thing. But I always feel like it's unfortunate to be in any environment where you can't be the real you, and just not be celebrated for it. Just
I personally think that that's what a lot of the racism and the hate and prejudice. I think that that's all swirling around with. I have so much internalized hate for myself that I have to project it out to anyone. And when I project it out, I need to project it lower than who I think I am. So I
mhm.
can't go off on my boss. So I'm gonna go off on this woman next to me. I can't go off on my wife, so I'm gonna cuss out this black dude.
Yeah.
And they're so much different than me. It's just one of these disgusting, terrible, stupid things that we all agree to. Like your teacher telling you that it's a white man's world. That's
Mhm.
part of that indoctrination shit that we are all um, a part of, that we all agree to as being citizens of this country, being educated in this country, usually by people who don't look like us.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's what I call them. It's the we want them to be the way we want them to be.
Hmm. And
Period.
only that way.
Only that way.
Only
Th-
if you step out of line at any way, and I don't think it's normal, I'm going to shun you. I'm going to belittle you because that's not what we as a society, i.e., white society, has deemed necessary, normal.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
And what we and so it kind of gets to the historical perspective. How you know how we've been viewed by larger society, and there's no willingness, there's no chance that by and large larger society is going to accept us for any other way than the way we have historically been portrayed, the way we've been historically treated. That is the only way they can see us, by and large larger society.
mhm,
And that's part of the issue now, for example, with policing of Black bodies.
mhm,
Um, they historically see Black men as a threat, no
yes,
matter, no matter. And if you're a brown Black man, that's more intimidating to them. And so their job is to make sure that you Black men stay in your place. And we, as members of larger society, who are members of which it's all coming out now, not like we didn't know it, but now there's documentation, right? That white supremacists, white nationalists, they join the police force,
of
they
course they
join
do.
the military
Of
to
course they
be
do.
able to terrorize us legally.
Yes, that's justification. I can go out hunting,
Right,
and then you know what? I can stash a drug on him. It'll be all right.
right.
Like this young man, rest his soul. God, what is the kid's name? I've been obsessed with him all day.
Ahmaud
No,
Arbery,
no, no. This young one who was just killed last night.
the 13-year-old,
Yes. What is
Toledo,
his?
Adam
Adam
Toledo,
Toledo. Now,
Adam Toledo, 13-year-old.
I was sitting here this morning watching Poppy Harlow as I do every morning on CNN. Nothing brings me more joy than watching Poppy Harlow's face every morning when reading a news story, because you can tell how she feels about it based on how much tension she's holding in her eyebrows.
She and Breonna Keeler, the two of them do that very well. You can tell when they're disgusted by something. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
And
with you.
Poppy was talking to this kid's attorney, this family's attorney, and she kept asking, "Well, why did he run? Why did he run? And she kept asking, "Why did he run?" And then the attorney says, "Well, he stopped and his hands were up." And I'm thinking to myself, because Poppy Harlow is a mother, but Poppy Harlow is a white mother.
Right.
And so Poppy Harlow is asking that question from the perspective of a white mother thinking about her white son.
Correct.
And if a cop came up to her white son, even if that little bitch had, even if that child had, even if that child had a gun in his hand, as we've all seen, there is evidence behind this, that child would be alive.
That's right.
If they
totally,
that child would be alive. Even if they had to shoot that child, they would not have fatally shot that child.
True. Totally true. It is, first of all, you are 100% accurate in that. And me being the mother of Black sons, I have 2 Black sons. They have a whole different perspective on the police and their interaction, what it might be like with the police. The reason why that boy ran, and we know this because we're Black, he was scared.
He was terrified.
He was terrified that he was going to be shot by the police.
And guess what? He got shot by the police. If he would have stood still, he would have got shot by the police.
Absolutely.
If he would have, if he said, from my understanding, there was a gunshots and then the cops show up. So if there's gunshots at 2 some odd o'clock in the morning, I too would be running. So a cop would show up. I too would be running, because first of all, why in the hell am I up at 2:15 in the morning? I'm too old for that. I'm too old.
That's number one.
Right. Like, why am I still up? Have I not had enough wine? Anyway, so it's just, come on, girl, that's just too loud. Rihanna is going hard in my ear. But I'm just so saddened by all of these mothers having to bury their children. Listen. And there have also been 147 mass shootings.
And is it this year so far? And this is April?
Yeah. Well, since last year.
So we're including COVID up until now, because I think so far this year there have already been almost 50, like something like that. So as a Black mother, I can tell you every single day I fear for my sons. And I fear for my sons because when anybody has an interaction with them that has that's profiling them or has a predetermined thought about what this Black kid is like, it's going to be a problem. And, my kids, like the majority, let me say it again, the majority of Black kids are good kids. They're good kids.
They're just kids.
They're just kids, like everybody
else. They're not allowed to be kids.
They're not allowed to be kids. They're not allowed to make mistakes.
Nope.
They're not allowed to be scared.
Nope.
And so I worry every day. And I mean, I have nephews and all that, but I worry every day. Like, what if you have this interaction and they see you this way? I feel for those mothers because I realize that could be my son. That could be me on TV crying. I put
Mhm.
myself exactly in that parent's place because I have sons. I mean, I have a daughter too. I worry about her, but not like I do my sons.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so we are traumatized as a people every single time this happens because not only do we grieve for that family, which we do, but we keep living that experience that it's us, it could be us next. What happens if I get stopped? What happens if my loved one gets stopped? For you,
Mhm.
what happens if you get stopped?
What happens?
What
Yes.
happens if you get stopped for no reason? What happens if you get stopped? That has to be, as a Black man, that has to be in your head 24/7, which
At all times.
traumatizes us over and over.
Mhm. And that trauma we walk around with and then have to negotiate white spaces.
Right,
And
right,
we go into these white spaces and we're hoping, among hope, to just be allowed to be human.
right,
I just want to come in and be seen as a human.
right.
And leads me to my other conversation about, as a doctress,
Yes, yes.
I know that I make it a point in my life to only see female doctors of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made a choice to see only female doctors of color
Mm-hmm.
because every time I've seen a white male doctor, or more uncomfortably, believe it or not, a white female doctor,
Mm-hmm.
I have never felt more dehumanized, more judged, more dis- um, disdain is probably a good word. The last doctor I saw, she was a nurse practitioner. She, every time she walked into the room for an appointment with me, she had this disdain on her face. And she would always talk to me in a way that she was absolutely certain I didn't have the intellectual capacity to follow her in a sentence. I was certain of it because of the way that she tried to dumb down things. And then I said to her, you know, I'm actually the social director of Impact NYC. We're a social organization that promotes, uh, we help stigma and isolation associated with HIV. And she says, oh, I didn't know you would be into something like that. That seems so philanthropic. You know what that means, right?
It's 15h30.
No. I mean, like, no.
Yes.
No, 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 no,
And I'm sitting here
no.
now, Michelle, I looked cute because I make it a point to look cute everywhere. My one of my mottos. I know you're gonna look. I may as well give you something elegant and fabulous to look at.
And that you
I
do.
know that you're going to look at me. So
Yeah.
drink it all in.
You're right. Exactly, that you do.
So here I am sitting here, fabulous, legs crossed, eloquent. And she has the unmitigated bitch ass shit to say that kind of nonsense to me. And I'm supposed to respect you? Girl, get out of here.
Yeah. So let me indulge me a minute and let me give you a little bit historical perspective on this from the healthcare system.
Ooh, I love this.
So we recognize that over 400 years ago, our ancestors were enslaved and brought to this country.
Yes.
From the moment they were brought to this country, we're already on unequal footing.
Mm-hmm.
During, the years from slavery moving forward, Black bodies were often used as research tools.
Mm-hmm.
Black bodies were also not believed when we said we're in pain, we're not feeling well. The people who owned these Black bodies said, well, you're feigning, you're not really sick. There's nothing really wrong with you. And they would take these people to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember that the doctor is a white doctor, a white
Mhm.
male doctor.
Mhm.
And for them, a lot of their socioeconomic power and a lot of their financial stability was also intertwined with slavery.
Mhm.
So they could say, yeah, I think there's something really wrong with this person. Let me see if I can fix them, and use that as an opportunity to be use it as an opportunity to do research, or use it as an
Mhm.
opportunity to try some medication that they want to see if it works.
Mhm.
So this was a complicated structure that started out as a way to um, have two outcomes. One is for the white person that owned the slaves to protect their property, to say, these people, these particular people are valuable to me. So I need you to make sure that they're healthy and make sure that they're okay to continue working for me. And then there were these group of people that didn't mean anything to me anymore. They were either they outlived their usefulness, they were too old, or they were too frail, but they weren't useful to me anymore. Those people became property of the doctors. That
Mhm.
became
Mhm.
their research tool. So
Mhm.
from the beginning, the healthcare system was set up to not look at us as humans, but to look at us as property and as research tools. So this went on throughout slavery. Once we
Mhm.
had the abolition of slavery, the doctors said, okay, wait a minute now. What are we going to do? We don't have people that are enslaved right now. So how are we going to make this work where we continue to have Black bodies to learn from and to experiment on? And so one of the things that they did, and I want everybody to think about this. When you think about where your teaching hospitals are located, when you think about the hospitals that we learn, where we practice on people and we learn medicine on
Mhm.
people, where are they located? So think
Mhm.
about that. So after slavery, the medical community at that point said we have to do something to be able to make sure that we can continue to do research on people. We certainly can't do it on wealthy white people. They're not having any of it. We can do it on poor white people, but we really don't want to do it on our own kind because we don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So they created these things called charity wards. And these charity wards were within these big hospitals, right? But they were like in the basement of the building, or they were in the wing of the hospital that nobody cleaned and nobody went into. And
Mhm.
so if you were sick as a Black body, if you were sick and you had to go into the hospital, you went in knowing, A, you may not come out.
Mhm.
Chances are you may not come out, but you also went in knowing I can't afford this. There's no way I can really receive care. So I'm just going to do the best I can do, which kind of gives the historical perspective on why we as a people don't like going to the doctor. This is our lived experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
What the healthcare system did was said, I know what we can do. I know how we can make this work. They actually started marketing Black bodies, or the abilities to do research on Black bodies, to medical students. Hey, come to this program, come to this hospital. We got the best Black bodies for you to learn from. We've got strong guys, weak guys, kids, women, big women, little women. We have all these people that come to this charity ward, to this charity hospital. We want you to have an experience to learn. So we have these people here that you can learn off of. And so that involved people being sick, but not treating them to see what the natural progression of that disease would be. That
Mhm.
would be trying medication that you didn't know would work or not. That's your learning experience to see if that medication works or not. That would be having surgical procedures on these Black bodies that you didn't know whether they would work or not, but gave the medical student, gave the residents an opportunity to see what the inside of a body looks like that they may not otherwise see. So this is the history on which the healthcare system was
Mhm.
built on the fact that Black bodies are not really thought of as human, but Black bodies are research tools, and Black bodies are how we learn medicine. Many of the tools and procedures that we use today have been at the benefit of Black bodies from, decades ago. So that's kind of how the system is set up. And to your point, old habits are hard to break. When you work in a teaching hospital like I did, proud to say I trained at Children's Hospital in Detroit, worked in the Detroit Medical Center. I'm in the city, right? I'm in the city of Detroit. So the
Mhm.
majority of people that I provide care for, the majority of people that I learned from, they were Black people, pure and simple. That is how we get our education. You don't see teaching hospitals set up in suburbs. You
Mhm.
don't see teaching hospitals set up in white sections of town. That's not how
Mhm.
it works.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the perspective of a lot of these physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses. I'm talking about all people within the healthcare system. That's the perspective they bring, that you are a body, and that oftentimes you have a higher tolerance of pain, so you don't really need pain medicine, that you really don't understand your body, you really don't know, you're medically illiterate. So
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
going to treat you that way, which is the experience you're talking about, which is the
Yes.
experience of so many of our people. You're medically illiterate. I don't think you have the capacity, and this is no joke, right? Because slave owners thought that they had to own slaves, that Black bodies needed to be enslaved because their brains weren't able to take care of themselves. We couldn't do
Yeah.
this on our own.
We couldn't do it on our own.
We can do it on our own. So that perspective is what a lot of that implicit bias is what a lot of white physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses, and so on, they come into the healthcare system and they leave the healthcare system with that sort of implicit bias and with that look at us like we're not really human. We're not really capable of feeling like when we have pain, which is why I say it's not an accident that primarily white people, white middle class people are opioid addicts,
Mm-hmm.
because they're
Mm-hmm.
prescription drugs.
Because
when,
they can get a prescription like this for
like,
absolutely anything.
that's
Oh my
exactly
God, my hair isn't growing anymore. Here, you want a pill for it?
exactly. You won't get that if you say you're in pain. If you say you're in pain, you're told go get an ibuprofen,
Mm-hmm.
over the counter, Tylenol,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that perspective is within our healthcare system now. It really came to light. I mean, we've been saying it forever, right? But it really came to light during COVID when we saw Black and brown people dying at higher. It's not because
like this.
right. It wasn't because they didn't care, they weren't taking care of themselves. It was because they were, and I saw this with my own eyes, they were going to the emergency room and being told, you'll be okay, so just go back home. Here's an asthma pump, you'll be okay. And people were dying at home.
Yes.
Or by the time they came back to the emergency room, they were so sick, there wasn't a lot that could be done. So this manifested itself right before our eyes with COVID. This is what was going on. I know countless stories of people that went to the emergency rooms and were sent home. I know countless people that said they were having these symptoms that were consistent with COVID and they weren't given any attention at all. They were sent home. So this happened right in front of our eyes. And also, to your point, we have data, we have studies, we have literature that shows that Black and brown people have better clinical outcomes when they go to Black and brown physicians.
Exactly.
Black and brown nurse practitioners, or Black and brown PAs.
Mm-hmm.
And it is for the reason that you said. We all have this lived experience. Listen, when I interact with the healthcare system, I'm treated like everybody else. I can say I'm a doctor. I'm treated no differently.
Mm-hmm.
I ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I am treated no differently. So I have those shared experiences. So I try to make sure the people that I provide care for, that I give them the same care that, James Justins or James Williams will give to, Becky, Ken, and Barbie.
Exactly. And what pissed me off so much was I had friends who saw this particular nurse practitioner, some of my white friends, not my white friends, because I don't have white friends. I only have white friends. There's a difference between the two.
There is.
But I was asking some of my white friends and who had seen this doctor, and they were like, oh my God, she's so wonderful. She sits with me. We've had the most lovely, I even got a referral to this particular nurse practitioner from a white friend of mine. And he was just glowing about her. And every time I went in, I was like, maybe our personalities aren't matching, but everyone loves me. My personality is dynamic. Either you love it or you hate it. Clearly, she hated it, and I was okay with that.
But I think it's to your point. I think It's different when your white friends are having an interaction with her. They're going to see her different. I want to get into something that I saw and right before my eyes. So, my training, I'm an infectious disease specialist by trade. So my training and everything was in the 80s. And when we started seeing what we called then grid, right? And people, but then we started seeing the same sort of syndrome happening in babies. So this is in the 80s. I totally got absorbed into this. And anyway, it kind of shaped my career path. But what I want to bring up is I saw in front of my eyes the healthcare system do something really weird. So Irvin Magic Johnson, was the first straight Black man to come out to the world that he was living with HIV. First straight Black man to come out and do that.
Right.
Okay. The people that adored him, that thought he was just like this great person, he had the big infectious smile, he's all this, they turned on him. Like in real time. His basketball colleagues said, we don't want to play basketball with you. We don't want to touch you. We don't want you in the locker room with us. We're not going to check you. We're not going to get close to you. Matter of fact, we want you out of the NBA. And I saw this whole system, not just them, but I saw this whole system turn on Black people in general. And this is all we have, the crack epidemic going on. We have several things kind of going on at the same time. I saw in our healthcare system exactly what you're talking about. I saw people who look like me being treated differently. I saw them being treated like you deserve this. I saw them being treated like, well, this is what you get, when you behave this way, this. I saw that with my own eyes, and it sort of shaped my future, where I said, you know what? I'm going to dedicate myself to this field in infectious diseases, because I have all these lovely little babies that could have been my babies that were born with this virus and dying with this virus. And I'm like, I need to be in this, because people who look like me are not receiving the type of compassion that they should for living with a virus that nobody walked around and said, I want that. And that's sort of how I came to this. And to your point, we have data that shows that when you go to providers who look like you, to have shared experiences with you, you have better clinical outcomes.
Yes, absolutely correct. Before I moved to New York, I was seeing a incredible Filipino American doctor by the name of Mia Scott in Denver, Colorado. And she and I developed this wonderful relationship of care. And I give her a lot of the credit for now 23 years of undetectable living.
Look
Isn't
at
that
you.
weird?
That's
I know.
fantastic.
I've been positive for 23 years and undetectable the entire time.
That's the look at what you just said. It was the relationship where you had with the provider who cared, that kind of gave you the support you needed, that said, I can do this.
We had a lot of conversations. We because I live my life as holistically as I know how. And a lot at the time when I converted, I was vegan at the time. She really tried to get me to be a meat eater again, and I stopped at chicken. That's as far as I went. And she's all like, are you sure? I was like, stop it. The only meat I put in my mouth I can't digest.
But I digress. That's funny. That's a good one.
So when you're a brown person, a BIPOC, and you find yourself confronted with this hate, this all of the things that you're saying, all of this stupidity from your doctor, the racism from your doctor.
That's racism.
How can we advocate for ourselves to get out of that situation? Or shall I say, how do we teach our doctors to treat us better.
Mhm. I think the best thing, so I want to say this too. I think because when we talk about privilege, we talk about people who've never had to think about what doctor they went to. We're talking about people that never had to think about what interaction they're having with their provider or their clinician because they look like them and they're being treated a certain way, right? So they've never really had to think about it and it's never on their radar. I think one of the good things that's happening now is that we have a space available where we can educate people on what you're doing. That is the reason why people who look like me don't want to come to the healthcare system. It's the reason why people who look like me don't want to see a doctor because they figure you're going to treat us like crap anyway, so I'll just die. I mean,
I'll just die.
I just heard people say that, right? Right. So I think the first step we can do is give that person, especially if you like them. There are some people like that doctor that you're talking about, that other person that you saw initially, that was somebody you just needed to run in the other direction. That was not a person for you. But I think if it's somebody that you think you have the opportunity to call them out on it and say, listen, it's like, I'm not stupid. I appreciate you talking to me and giving me the information the same way you would someone that may not necessarily look like me. Call them out on it because a lot of times it's so implicit, they don't even know they're doing it. They don't even know they're doing it. I've had colleagues that I've had to check and say, did you just really say that? Like, I'm glad you said that in front of me and not in front of a patient. Okay, because let me tell you now, that's not don't say that or don't behave that way. So I think the first thing to do is to take that opportunity and use it as a teachable moment. The other thing I would also say is that if that person is able to take care of your clinical needs and you think that this person is good in that respect, but you sense a little something, I would let that person know, hey, I like you. I feel comfortable with you as a clinician, but you're making me feel some type of way right now. And what is that about? I'm almost certain more than half of the clinicians will stop in their tracks and they will say, maybe I need to do a little, like, okay, maybe I messed up. Maybe I should, okay, maybe I need to kind of, and they will thank you for pointing that out. And it gives them an opportunity to reset. So I like to use that as an opportunity to kind of instruct providers what to do. The other way I think we address that is, I'm gonna, for full disclosure, generally when I'm looking for a provider, I'm looking for someone like me. I'm looking for someone that looks like me, that I think I can talk to, that I think is gonna treat me right, that's not gonna treat me like I'm stupid. That's what I do. I try to look for providers, that clinicians that I think, have my shared experience and are going to look out for me. And so part of the reason why there are more people of color in the healthcare system is because we see the need to be visible, to provide services for people that look like us. It's why we do this. It's why many providers many Black and brown providers work in the community. They work in the community, work in the community hospital, they work in the community clinic. That's because we feel a need to be where our people are, to be able to provide the services that they need in a place where they'll feel loved and respected.
And when you walk into a room, you don't have to say, how many lies do I have to tell?
Yes. And how many, and here's the other part that I want to say, Jay, that really irks me, it makes me really salty. Don't make that person have to explain themselves to you.
Any part of themselves to
Any part of themselves. Don't put the person in that position because that's not what you're there for.
No, you are there. The way I look at it, honestly speaking, is when I go see a doctor, I know that you may be more learned than I am, but ultimately I'm paying you for care.
That's right. And you know your body and you know who you are.
I know my body. And
you know your body. And it's the same approach. And I've had to learn this as well because providing gender affirming care is new in our world. But what I try to be conscious of is there's a lot of intersectionality, right? With that person that's in front of us. So Jay, you're a Black man. You're a gay Black man. You're a Black man living with HIV. you're a gay Black man living with HIV. There's a lot of intersection.
There's a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of stuff there. And that you are a whole person, and that needs to be acknowledged when that clinician walks in the room and sees you. I do the same with my transgender patients. I'm like, this person, primarily my trans people are of color. So this person is a color. They have trans experience. They're being stigmatized and victimized and have violence against them, micro and macroaggressions on a regular basis. So when they come in here, my job is not to re-traumatize them and say, why do you want to be this way?
No, that is not your job. You get that everywhere, from every single moment of their existence.
That's
and
correct.
then you go to a doctor and then have a doctor who's the most learned person in your circle telling you that. How are you supposed to survive through that?
Exactly. And then how do you feel like, where do I get care from? So part of the issue is what we're saying. It's to provide education for, like, and one thing that you're saying that I'll put the caveat to, clinicians may be learned, but that doesn't make us wise.
No, it does not. You could read a lot of shit. I've met a lot of people with a lot of degrees on their wall with a lot of Ivy League education, and they say the most stupid shit that falls out of their mouth.
Right.
And I'm all like, I cannot believe your Harvard degree led you to that conclusion.
Right.
I cannot believe we are even having this conversation when I went to a goddamn state school. I can't even believe we're having this conversation.
That's true though, right? And so sometimes I think as people who come to a clinician, don't give them that much credit. You know what I mean? But don't give them that much credit. Don't give them that much power. Like, you might have a certain level of knowledge, but what you said is true. I know my body. I know me. I know why I'm here. Okay. And so either you're going to listen to me and you're going to respect the person in front of you, or you're not.
I will go find another.
And exactly. And that's exactly, if that person's not giving you the right vibes, and it's what you said, the minute you walk in the room, the minute that clinician walks in the room, within 2 seconds if this is going to work or not. And how that person is looking at you and what they're thinking about you. And so for me,
and trust your gut.
You trust your gut because
you trust your gut.
And also, what else do we know about us? Because we've lived in these bodies our entire lives, and because we have had to work within larger society, because we've had to integrate into that, we're very perceptive about things. So we know in 2 seconds when that person comes in there, what they think about us, how they're looking at us, how they feel about us. That in 2 seconds because we have that lifelong.
Have to. That's something we were taught from birth.
It's a
walk into a room and you're all like, oh, it's going to be one of these ones.
Exactly. And that's how we've learned, but that's a protective mechanism, right? Defense, but it's protective. It's how we protect ourselves. It's how we sort of get through the situation, is by observing what's in front of us and then saying, this is my plan for how I'm going to deal with this.
How Black do I have to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Which one of me do you want?
Like, how? I wonder which version of me is going to come out today.
Exactly. Which one?
I've walked into rooms and I'm thinking, oh Lord, Obama gonna have to be here, and I have to go in. And you've been in a room. I know you have. You're a beautiful, educated woman. So you've walked into rooms and you've been the only beautiful chocolate drop in a room full of milk.
Yeah.
And the minute you open your mouth, they're like either hanging on every word and expecting you to be the absolute representative. You are a shining example of what Black people can do if they put their minds to it. You are exactly who you're the kind. If we could get more like you, Michelle, we wouldn't have a problem with this country.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And what you have to clearly, for me, what I have to clearly let them know, because it's what you said, you're different. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I'm not different. I'm not different than anybody else that you've had an interaction with. I'm sitting in this room with you. I'm in a different place, but I'm not different.
I'm no different.
I am no different. And that is sometimes we have to be conscious about that. We have to also, and I like what you said about being unapologetic. I am unapologetically a Black woman,
Hmm.
and you're going to get all of it, right?
All of it. I
You're
don't
going to
give a
get,
damn. If you
right,
don't like it, go over there.
exactly. You're going to get all of it. And yes, yes, I'm educated. Yes, I got to this place working harder than you because nobody gave me anything.
Anything.
So I am in this space because I earned the right to be here.
Hmm.
And I'm going to speak in a language that I know you'll understand. And when I need to speak in a language where I need you to understand me, I will do that.
Hmm.
I will do that. And that is something that I think now we're getting spaces to be able to do that, to be able to kind of inform the healthcare system what you're doing wrong, and how as a clinician, I see what you're doing is not helpful to people who look like me.
I absolutely agree. The other thing that always pops into my head when I'm in situations like that is, why am I the only one in the room?
Great. Yep.
It's nice that I'm here. I earned the right to be here, but why am I the only one?
And it's what you remember that what we started talking about in the beginning. They have a concept of what kind of brown or Black person belongs here. Like we have our idea of what you should be and what you should look like and how you should behave. And that's the person that we feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's the person we feel safe with. And if you don't fit that, then you may not get to be in the room, like you said, you may not get to be in that space. And so that's why I like the opportunity to buck that stereotype. So I'm telling what I'm loving now that I didn't appreciate back in the 70s, right? Because I'm old, I've been around a while. One of the things that I didn't appreciate in the 70s were afros. I didn't appreciate what that meant. I didn't appreciate what people were wearing their natural. I didn't appreciate that because I was like a teenager. I didn't know what that really meant. So in the 70s, I didn't appreciate, a lot of what young people at that time were saying. I did appreciate James Brown saying, "I'm Black and I'm proud."
Right.
So there were things that I could appreciate, but things that I couldn't appreciate that now I appreciate so much better. So I appreciate seeing Black and brown men and women wearing their hair the way they want to wear it without feeling like I have to conform to what makes you comfortable, that I have to wear my hair straight. Now, for someone like my hair, just it's straight, it's curly, it does whatever I need it to do. But I don't need to wear it the way makes you feel comfortable with me.
No, because that's your hair.
Right. And
I
so
was no, go on, because I'm going on
no,
some
what I was
tangent
going to
about
say
my hair.
it's the reason why California passed a law that prohibits businesses from discriminating against Black women who want to wear their hair naturally. Why do we need a law for that?
That is so stupid, isn't it? Isn't that stupid?
It's
having
stupid.
to regulate the fact that you're regulating something that grows out of my head. But more importantly than that, it's a bunch of white men regulating what happens to a Black woman.
There you
Again.
go. There you go.
I am so fucking exhausted. I am weak in my brain with trying to wrap my head around why in the hell men make decisions about women's bodies. I don't get it. And then you're wrapping it into this political anti-abortion, pro-abortion. Guess what? I don't have a uterus. I'm never going to have an abortion.
Right.
I don't have an opinion. I should never have an opinion. Period. Even if I were a heterosexual man and a lady and I made a child and we had a conversation and I said, "Girl, I don't care." And she made the decision to get an abortion and then I later changed my mind. That is not my place because I don't have to push this baby out of my body. And I have the opportunity to walk the fuck away.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And you hit it every single point. You're spot on. And what I did with my sons, I brainwashed them the exact same way. I'm like, you are a male. You have no say over what a female does with her body. That
Or
is
what she
not,
wears, or
that's
what she says,
that's right.
or what she does. You shut up. Just shut
Exactly.
up.
So my sons would say the exact same thing you're saying. That's the way I taught them. And it's not in exactly what you said. You might change your mind and say, oh, but that woman, that's her kid. You can walk away, like, and you can keep moving.
You can keep moving. You can have 16 babies with 16 different people and you can keep it pushing. But then at this point, you have this young lady who's decided, you know what? I guess I gotta have this baby. I'm not in a good place to have this baby, but I guess I'm gonna have this baby. So then I have this baby. So here I am trying to get a job. And if I'm a black or brown woman, I'm only making 63 cents to a white man's dollar. And so
Right?
now I got to drop out of school when I know I need an education, but I got to take care of this goddamn baby. But I love my baby. But
Yep.
it just wasn't a good time.
It
The
wasn't a good
sex was
time, a
fabulous,
hindrance. Right.
but the sex was fabulous and I made a mistake. But my girlfriend Tiffany, her dad flew her to Costa Rica and she got an abortion, but they came
Mhm.
back. But that's okay. I'm now working at Burger King with this baby, and I'm going to night school. And guess what? You know what? I'm gonna go to University of Phoenix and get my degree, and I'm gonna spend $90,000 and come out with a degree from University of Phoenix. But I can't get a job because that's not an accredited university. So now I'm fucked.
Right. You said it all. You just said it. That's exactly how it goes down, Jay. That's exactly how it goes down. That's exactly how it goes down. That's exactly how it goes down. And then you look around and you go, okay, I
Now
probably,
what?
right, exactly. I probably shouldn't have made that decision, but now what? Exactly. It's now
And
what?
then here's Tiffany over here living her best life on her third husband, divorced a lot of times. Each and every time she's fallen on her face, she's had the opportunity to pick herself back up because the system won't let her fall that hard.
That's right. That's
The
exactly right.
system won't let her fail.
It won't. That's the privilege that people don't understand. That's where the privilege comes in. You have to work, and I grew up hearing this, not understanding it until I got older, but you have to work twice as hard to
To get
get
half as
half.
much.
That's exactly right. I grew up, right? We all heard that, right? We all grew up
Mm-hmm.
hearing that. And that's because we aren't privileged. We don't have that privilege and that luxury to fail, and you're only going to fall so far, but we got ways to help you get up.
Mm-hmm.
That it makes it, we have to work harder and we have to work longer and we have to work smarter to be able to accomplish those same things. And I think you said everything exactly right. I mean, you spot on. I have nothing to add on that but a period. Right. What he just said with a period.
I get so I don't understand why a man who is here because of a woman, his mama,
Mm-hmm. His
his
mama.
sister, his daughter, his
Mhm.
cousin, his niece, his grandma,
Mhm.
his fucking grandma.
Right?
His grandma at one point was a 16-year-old girl. And
Absolutely.
you're saying disrespectful things. Do you know that little 16-year-old girl is going to be somebody's grandma?
Yep.
Stop
That's
being
exactly right.
gross. And
That's,
we keep emboldening these stupid ass boys, usually stupid ass white boys,
mhm.
because those are the only people we allow to be boys.
Correct. They can make a mistake.
Listen, Scott and I were at the botanical gardens on Easter. We looked real cute.
Oh, and then with all of
that.
that beautiful blooming, I bet you were just
Yes, honey, we looked fabulous. And so we're walking around
fabulous.
having a great time taking pictures and stuff. And as we're walking through the atrium, we're taking pictures by the orchids, and this family of Connecticuters, family from Connecticut, from their estate on Connecticut, the type, crisp khakis, plaid shirts, sweaters over tie, that whole thing. Even the fucking Stepford children had this outfit on. And these two little 9-year-old motherfuckers come walking through here and they keep oh my God, Todd, this is so moist. I know, Chad, this is so moist. Todd, moist. It's so moist in here, Todd. Todd, it's so moist. And they're just getting louder and louder. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so these little bitches have their masks off at this point, and I'm like,
oh,
now,
see,
Black woman up front, when you come in, she says, now y'all keep your masks on. I'm gonna kick you out. If you don't have your masks on, I'm gonna kick you out. These little bitches got their masks off, and here they're like walking. And Scott and I are standing. He's on one side, I'm on the other. There's a space in between us, and I'm taking a picture. Do you know these bitches just walked right through? Not an excuse me, not a pardon me, not a I'm gonna give you a minute. No. These bitches just walked through. Now, keeping in mind, Black family was there. They gave Scott and I a moment. Asian family were there. Gave Scott and I a moment. Latin family was there. Gave Scott and I a moment. Black girls were there. And Black girls love to take photos. They even took photos with us and together. And we did a boomerang with them. We did a whole photo shoot and shit.
Yeah, that's the sisters, right?
Right? They were so cute.
You and Scott were cute. They want to
take and we just had a great old time. These little disrespectful 9-year-old white motherfuckers. And so they come trotting through here, and then Stepford dad comes walking through here, and then Stepford grandma comes rolling around, and then Stepford mom comes with her potato son, the older one, who's probably going to have to buy himself a wife. But so they come through, and mom just kind of looks at us, and she's all like, this. She said the one thing that I fucking hate when white women say to me, and I'm going to do it in the right tone. Sorry.
You just made my skin crawl. That's the sorry, I'm not sorry, little Negro.
Yes!
I totally know what that was. I totally know when I hear that sorry. I totally know. I totally know what that sorry is.
And I felt a bitch. I felt it coming up in my soul. I felt it. And I looked around for a second. I was like, this is too beautiful of a day. This is Easter Sunday.
Yes.
I'm in the most beautiful place in the Bronx that I've ever been before. Yes. I'm not going to let this bitch block my blessings.
There you go.
I'm going to let her and her square hips go elsewhere.
Right. Because ultimately, let me just say something about that, what I've learned. Ultimately, that person, her life, she's portraying, it's not that Stepford husband, he's making her life miserable.
Cheating.
Right. Because so people like that, especially, and I would go with women like that, you're trying to project something onto other people that you don't own, right? You don't own courtesy. You don't own respect. You don't own any of that. So you're trying to project the sign. That was projecting, like, I'm really not sorry, you little Negro person. I'm only doing this because she's not able, she doesn't have anything that she owns.
Oh, she only said sorry to Scott. She didn't actually say it to me.
Oh, you just made it worse. Oh, she said it to Scott, not even to you? Oh, so she totally said F you right to your face. Okay.
She said it to Scott.
Yeah, she didn't even hint. That was a total F you.
Sorry.
Oh my God.